everyone. I'm Kelly. Nice to see you all virtually here. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give you a brief demo of CDD Vault. So there are so many features that CDD Vault has, and we really believe that it's smart software that will save you time in storing and managing the data that you generate in all your great projects. So CDD Vault has 4 separate modules that come together to make up the whole vault. So we have an activity and registration platform, as well as inventory capabilities, a visualization module, and also a fully integrated electronic laboratory notebook. So this is a cloud-based platform, and you can log into your private secure CDD vault by going to this login button here and filling in your email and password, and it will take you into your private CDD vault. So that can be done using any web browser. So after I've logged in, you'll end up here on the main homepage, which is your Explore Data tab. So here's where you'd go pretty much every day to search and mine the data that is available to you that you have access to in your private CDD vault. So these search queries can be multi-parameter search queries. So we can search in different protocols. We can search by substructure and similarity, as well as any chemical properties that are calculated and other keywords and collections. And this will generate a search report table that I'm showing here. And so this search report table and this presentation will be split up into a couple of different parts. So first we'll talk about the chemical registration capabilities, the data containers that we call batch fields, as well as the other types of data containers, which we call protocols. So I'm showing the batch fields here, as well as 2 protocols. And these search report tables can be customized. So if you want to click on customize your report, you can turn on or turn off any sort of features that you want to see, and then update your report. And it will take you back to that search report table to see any more or less information that you want about these compounds that you have searched. So I would also like to say that as well as having a full chemical registration capabilities, you can also register biological entities. So many of our customers register antibodies or plasmids, antibody drug conjugates. There are many things that our customers are using CDD Vault for. And so I'm just showing, a sort of an example of that biological entities type of vault. So before we jump into compounds and registering compounds and things like that, I just wanted to talk about CDD Vault's concept of projects. So once your vault is created, you will have a vault administrator that is, tailoring your vault for what you want it to be used for. And so when you log into your vault, you can see your access level by clicking on your name and the access level. And so your vault administrator will add members to the vault, and then we'll give those members various access levels. And so those access levels can go from read only all the way up to full access or vault administrators to tailor what type of modifications you're allowing your users to make within your vault. So once members are added to a vault, you will then add them to a specific project, because everything that is registered or added to your CDD vault, your compounds, your assay data, your protocols, are associated with a project. And so in this drop-down menu, you can see the unique list of members in each project. So for instance, Pat Deason here is a member of the Biotech Collaborator Project. But if I go to the ChemLab Collaborator Project, you can see that Pat is not a member of this project. And what that means is she can't see any of the data associated with this project, and she actually does not know that this project exists because she's not a member of the project. And this, is really powerful when you're working with CROs or other collaborators who are not maybe working on a specific project that you are working on internally. So you can fine tune who gets to see what type of data within your vault. So now moving on to the chemical registrations. So when you register chemicals or chemical structures within CDD Vault, it will strip the structures of any salts or solvents associated with the structure, and it will check your vault for duplicates. So when you register a new structure, if there is no duplicate molecule, then a new molecule name will be generated by CDD Vault. This molecule name consists of a prefix that you choose, followed by the next sequential number available within the vault. If a duplicate of that compound is found within the vault, then a new batch of that molecule will be created. So if I go to this batches subtab here, you can see that this particular molecule has multiple batches. So batch 1 is here and batch 2 is down here. And although CDD Vault will strip the salts and solvents when checking for duplicates, that information is saved at the batch level. So you'll see that batch 1 is not a salt. However, batch 2 is the hydrochloride salt and has 2 water molecules associated with it. And that's also reflected in the formula weight, which is calculated based on the structure that was registered. If I go back to the overview page and scroll down, you'll see the list of about 20 chemical properties that are calculated using the Chem Axon cartridge when you register compounds that have structures. Here on the overview page, you can also see that you can store synonyms about these compounds, as well as other user-defined fields. Maybe you want to store a CAS number about the molecules that you have as well. Now, before I mentioned these batch fields in the search report table, so here I'm showing only a couple of the batch fields that have been created in the vault by the vault administrator. So that's one really great thing about CDD Vault is that it's tailored to fit your needs by your vault administrator. So you're not having to go to, support and ask for new fields to be created. The vault administrator can go and do that on their own. So I'm showing these batch fields here. So if I go back to the molecule that I showed earlier and the batches subtab, you can see all of the batch fields that have been created within this vault. And so these batch fields can store data that are text, they can be numbers. You can also create pick lists to sort of control the vocabulary that's uploaded to these data containers. You can also have links to external sources as well as files attached. So here we have a CSV file in a batch field. Here you can see it is a PNG file of an NMR. So if you want to capture NMR spectra or LCMS data, what have you, you can do that in the batches as well. Excuse me. So there are a few ways that you can register compounds. You can do it one by one by going to your Explore Data tab and going to create a new molecule. You can also import bulk lists of compounds using, an SDF file or a bunch of SMILE strings or mole text, and do that through our import data wizard. So you don't have to register compounds one by one. You can do this, very simply and very quickly using our 3-step import data wizard. And then you can also register compounds directly from our ELN. So if you're running an experiment in your ELN, you're synthesizing a compound, you can register it right there from the ELN with very intuitive links to register compounds. And I will show that a little bit later, but I just want to show you here that on this links tab, you can see the ELN entries where this particular compound has been drawn in these ELN entries. And so then you have a two-way crosstalk link of, where this compound may be. So if I were to open up this ELN entry, it would take me to that entry where that compound is registered. Okay. And then lastly, we have the rest of the areas that this compound is associated with. So which plates it's been tested on, which protocols, how many collections it may be in. I can talk a little bit about collections later, as well as any projects that it may be associated with, or files that may be associated with this compound as well. So you have this whole overview of this one particular compound, and where it may be tested and associated with. I see you have a question. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm going through this very quickly. So if you do have any questions, or if you want a full blown out demo, you can always contact me or any of my team members. So the next thing I want to talk about are protocols. So just going back to this search report table, protocols are the other type of data container that you have within CDD Vault. And they, again, are created by you, the user, or the Vault administrator. So if you have access to create those protocols, you can do that as well in your Vault. So here I'm showing two separate protocols. One is this inhibition data protocol, which is what we're going to take a closer look at in a second. But you can see here that we also have the secondary CRC assay, which is using raw data to generate this live dose response plot. And what I mean by live is that if I click on this flag, outliers, and override plot, you can click on one of these points, one or two of these points, and then click Save Changes. And the curve is refit, excluding those outliers. Then if I close out of this window, you can see here that the IC50 is actually recalculated, excluding those outliers. And it's, plain as day and easy to see by your users because it is italicized and underlined. And then when you hover over it, it'll even say that value was calculated, excluding those outliers. And again, these protocols can store data that are text. They can be numbers, pick lists, as well as file attachments, images, and what have you. Is there a question? The question in the chat is that the compound, how does it handle stereochemistry? Yes, it does handle stereochemistry. You can register your compounds with the mol V3000 files, and it will handle stereochemistry as well as enhanced stereochemistry. And so you can search using your substructure search and input that stereochemistry. If I click on this structure editor here, you can look up compounds using the CDD logo button that are already registered in your Vault, or you can draw them in. We have the different types of bonds as well. And so you can put in whatever substructure you want to search for that includes that stereochemistry, use the structure, and then search your Vault. So going back to protocols, so we're going to take a closer look at this inhibition data protocol. So here, when I click through to the inhibition data protocol, this is sort of the overview for this particular protocol. And this run data tab is showing me all the instances of data upload that I have done to this particular protocol. So all of the different run dates. If I click on one of these run dates, it will take me to that specific run and show me the details of that specific run. This protocol details tab is where you will define what your protocol is storing and what you want to capture, what type of data. So here we have the name and the category, which makes it easier to search by, as well as a description if you want to put in a description. Here we have the readout definition. So there are three types of readout definitions that we have available in a protocol. The first is a data in, data out type of readout definition. So in this case, it's the % inhibition. So if we edit the readout definitions, you can easily add a new readout definition if you want to. So you can just type in some number and pick a data type, then specify the units and add a description if you want. You can also choose to normalize your data within CDD Vault if you'd like. But you don't have to. And then you just add the readout definition. And once you add the readout definition, it's there. It's available to be populated with the data that you want to upload. The second type of readout definition is a calculated readout definition. And so these calculated readout definitions are very powerful. I use them a lot for, a lot of times I would use them to calculate PIC50s. My PI really liked PIC50s instead of IC50s. So, I would come in here, I would create a calculated readout definition. I would give it a name, a unit if I needed to. And in this box is where you would start typing your formula. And so, let's say you wanted to do an average of the percent inhibition in this particular protocol. You would just start typing, and there is a lookup. So you would click on the formula that you would want to use, and then you can reference readout definitions from either this protocol or from other protocols. So if I start typing this open square bracket, you can see that there are, all of the readout definitions in this protocol available that I can choose from, but I can also choose from readout definitions in other protocols, which becomes, super powerful for doing things like selectivity scores or, ratios of one assay versus the other, and things like that. So if I clicked average percent inhibition, I can aggregate by different levels. So you can do by batch and by run, protocol, molecule. So there are 3 different levels. Again, I would add this calculated readout definition, and it's available to be populated. If I already have data in this particular readout definition, that calculation would be performed, and that average is available, as soon as you search for it. And then the last type of readout definition is this dose response calculation. It's the plot that I showed you back here on this search report table. So this was generated by adding one of those dose response calculations. So the CDD Vault uses the Levenberg-Marquardt algorithm to generate a 4-parameter curve fit. So on the x-axis, you would put in your concentration or molarity or what have you. On the y-axis, your raw data, your percent inhibition, and whatever type of data you want to capture. You can choose to normalize within each plate or in each run. Maybe your data is already normalized. So you have lots of options. It's very, easy to customize to whatever needs you are, whatever you need. And so here you can do percent inhibition or activation or percent negative control. You can constrain the values of the plot if you'd like, as well as specify an inactive range. And then down here is where you would start doing your calculations. So maybe I want an IC50, but I also want an IC99. I can even add a custom calculation that isn't on this list. So maybe I want an IC80. Then I can set my intersection to 80%. And then I would have this custom IC80 calculation. So then once the raw data is uploaded, these calculations will be performed for all of these calculations that I've created. Again, I would then just add the calculation and boom, it's ready to be populated with the data that you upload. And so I talked about normalizing your data within CDD Vault. So here we have the space where you would specify your control layout. So you would just edit this layout. It's a toggle. So you would specify where your positive and negative controls, as well as if you have a reference molecule, save the changes, and then your data will be normalized based on that control layout. Okay, I'm moving very quickly. Again, I will say if you want a full-fledged demo, maybe go through it a little slower and ask questions along the way, please feel free to contact me. I love talking about CDD Vault. So after you've created your protocol, like I said, it's ready to be populated with your data. And so you can upload data using this import data wizard, the same place that you can bulk register compounds as well. So really quickly, I can show you that you can choose a file. I'm going to go to my demo file and click this inhibition data for that inhibition protocol that I just, quote unquote, set up for you. I would select a project. Again, everything is associated with a project within CDD Vault, and then I would upload the file. This will take a couple of seconds. It's parsing through the file of data that I want to upload. And the second step is where I would map my fields. So first I would specify if I'm adding protocol data or assay data, or if I'm registering new molecules with or without structures. So that I would click whichever radio button is appropriate. And then here's where I map the fields in my file to the fields within CDD Vault. Since I've mapped this file many times, it's very good at guessing where the columns are mapped to within the My Vault. So I just click apply. Again, I'm going to map it to the field. So I'm looking for my readout of my protocol. So I'm just going to create a new run of data and then click apply. And now it's very good at guessing where these are going to go. And as soon as everything I want to upload is mapped, then it's done and I'm ready to process this file. This is your status bar. So now it's just going through the file and it's checking for any errors, anything that needs to be, addressed just in case there's a problem with the file. And now my data import is ready for review. So you get a report. So if there were any errors, there would be another box here showing me the errors that I can address if needed. And then the last thing that I need to do is either decide if I want to commit or reject this data. Maybe I forgot a whole list of compounds that I wanted to import. I can reject the data, fix the file, re-import it. Super quick and super easy. So once I click commit, again, this is your status bar and it's just waiting to be added to my vault. And now my data is committed to my CDD vault and it's ready to be explored. So if I click explore this imported data, it will show me that data that I have just imported to my vault. So very easy, very quick, super intuitive, and easy to upload data to the vault. So next, I just want to sort of switch gears. And so once you've uploaded data to your vault, it's easily searched and mined, which I talked about earlier. So you can search within any of the protocols that you've created. So you can see here, I have a whole list of protocols that have been created in my vault. Maybe I want to search for that inhibition data protocol. I can look in a specific run of data. So maybe I want to look at this one from 2016. I can also search by readout definition. So if I want to look for percent inhibition, maybe that's greater than 50, to see for good inhibitors. You can add a term and this will start to narrow down the search results that you will generate in your search report table. So now I'm looking for compounds in this protocol as well as in, let's see, the secondary CRC assay protocol as well. And I'm going to look in a specific run. Maybe I want to look for an IC50, that is less than 5 micromolar. So now you can start to fine tune what your search results will look like. I can search by any of the chemical properties that are calculated by CDD Vault when registering compounds. So maybe I want to look for molecular weight, between 100 and 500. I can then add that substructure back in as well, before I had that furan. So I'm going to use this structure. And so then if I click search, it will pull up all of the compounds that fit these criteria that I'm searching for. And so this is what I would do pretty much every day and go and look at what type of compounds were good or bad that I've registered within my vault, to sort of understand some SAR about them as well. So you can see here we have 4 compounds that were pulled up. Maybe this is a really great set of compounds. They fit all these criteria, so you can then add them to a collection. And so adding them to a collection, maybe you want your colleagues to test these compounds, so you can, add them to a project. And then once you save it, you can then share this collection with the members of your vault. So provided they have access to that particular project that you added that collection to, and that all of, the data, they have access to that particular project. If you check off their name, you can post this message and it will send an email to those people saying, hey, here's a link to this collection that I've created saying test these compounds. So it's a really powerful way to sort of, send whole lists of compounds that aren't, Excel files that through an email. This is private and secure, and it's only a link to the vault. So they need access to the vault in order to click that link and go to this particular collection. Maybe you're performing this search, every single day you come into the lab and you want to look at, what new compounds have been added that fit these criteria. You can actually save this search. So it will save all of the search parameters as well as the search report table layout. And then, in the morning you come in, you can go to your saved searches and then just pull up one of those saved search. And if any new compounds, any new data is added to the vault that fit that criteria, then that list will grow based on those new compounds that are added. So it's very flexible. So I think we're getting close to the end here. So I'd like to quickly show you our vision module. So here I have turned on a bunch of columns of numerical data. So a lot of those, calculated chemical properties, but they can also be, any protocol assay data that are numbers. And this will allow me to launch my vision module. So by default, you get a scatter plot at the top, a search report table down at the bottom, and some filters on the right-hand side. And you can zoom in to look at different points. You can also customize the axes. So maybe I want to look at some wild type inhibition based on the log P. Again, I can click and zoom in. I can then customize this by color. So maybe I want to customize by molecular weight, and then size. Maybe I want to look at my mutant 2 inhibition and can look at, now a 4-parameter scatter plot, basically. And then if I go to my plots tab, I can add more plots or even a histogram, move these around. And it's a really great visual way to sort of, look at good or bad compounds and narrow down your search results in a visual way that isn't in the search report table. And then lastly, the last module I want to show you is our ELN. So here I'm on our ELN index page. And these are all of the ELN entries associated with the projects that I have checked off on the left-hand side here. And these are searchable. So if I start to type, if I type a word, it will search not only the body of the text or the body of the ELN, excuse me, but any files that are attached to that particular ELN entry. It will also search the files that are easily indexed by CDD Vault. So, any Word documents, CSV files, PowerPoints, Excel files, even PDFs. So I think down here, there's a PDF that is indexed. So if you search for that word and it's found in that PDF that's attached to the ELN entry, it will also search within the PDF. You can search your ELN entries by structure or even reaction. So maybe I want to, let's put a simple reaction in here. You can also search by structure. So now I have this structure turned on and it will show me that the substructure highlighted in green and the reaction highlighted in green. And so then if I want to go look at this particular ELN entry, then I just click on the ID number here and it will take me to that ELN entry. And like I said, there are so many more features that I would love to cover, but just, scrolling down through here and showing you sort of what a, ELN entry could look like. It's basically a paper notebook turned digital. So anything you want to attach, you're just drag and dropping, cutting and pasting, and adding here. We even have our stoichiometry tables down at the bottom as well. And like I said, it's fully integrated with CDD Vault. So you can link to your protocols, you can link to your runs of data, you can link to your compounds that you register, maybe your plasmids that you register as well. And, add all of the unstructured data here in your ELN entry. So I think that's all the time that I have. Let's look at the questions. How does a user search for accessible ELN?
And that's from Manuel. How does a user search for accessible ELN entries?
Yeah, so I think I showed that really quickly. So that's just back on your ELN page. So if you are your index page, so if you're on this ELN tab, you would click on the projects that you are a member of, and it will show you the ELN entries that you have access to.
Cool. And the next question is from Larry Hardy. He's asking, can CDD Vault software integrate with capability to create data-driven computational models for pharmacopoeia ID or for rational design for new compounds?
So we do have an API. So you can use the API to integrate. A lot of our customers integrate with Data Warrior and StarDrop and things like that as well. So we do have an API, which people use that for.
There's one last question for you from an attendee for Kelly. If we request a private meeting and demo, if we want to purchase, do we have trials? How long does it take to get set up in CDD Vault to go into production?
Yeah, so the way it works is that you'll have a demo, a full-fledged hour-and-a-half demo, see all the features, and then if you'd like, you can do an evaluation period, which is, I believe, usually about a month to evaluate the software. You can, we'll have a CDA form, and you can put your own data into this trial vault. And then after that, if you decide to, purchase and go into production, it honestly, I set up the new vaults. It takes me about 5 minutes to set up a new vault. And then, usually there's a couple of training sessions, with a support team member just to get you up to running, help you upload your data, set up the protocols that you want to upload your data to. So I would say within 1 or 2 training sessions, you're usually off the ground running, and then it's all up to you. And then we have this help section here. So if I click on this help button, we have a whole knowledge base of articles and how to use the software that you can search, API documentation. And then you can always submit a request with me and support if you have a quick question, or even if you want to set up a training session, and that is all free of charge. We're always here to help, and we want to help you, get your data and get you moving in your project.
Cool. And that is Kelly from Collaborative Drug Discovery. And as she mentioned, if you're interested in a live demonstration with her and her team, or if you have any questions regarding her platform, you can email myself, Sherry, or our info address, and we can connect you with Kelly, Frank, Pat, and the rest of their team. Or you can log into our meeting scheduler app and you can request Kelly that way as well. So once again, Kelly, thank you again for your demonstration.
Yep, thank you.